Portland, Oregon, USA. On a trip to the Northwest, looking at the aftermath of months and months and months of extremist violence and domestic terrorism. I love the fact that these businesses think that they're going to be protected from the violence if they put the "Don't Hurt Me" signs up. Black Lives Matter, justice, social justice messages. Don't hurt me, don't hurt me, please, don't smash our windows. Yeah, it's astonishing. There's no doubt about it. It's astonishing to see an American city, a modern, progressive American city with the motto that says, the city that works. Portland, the city that works. And, you know, it's not working very well when you allow extremists to control the climate of the city, the business climate, the safety of it, rather than the institutions that you pay for with your tax dollars, i.e. Police, the justice system. Although imperfect, it's what keeps the peace so that people can live, feel safe. More boarded up stuff. What's your take on this, wife?
Wife.
Beautiful wife. I don't want to say your name. I don't know if you want to be part of these videos or what.
Sad.
We used to live in Forest Grove near here, and we loved coming into Portland for dates and plays and culture and you know, it's hard to say, you know, the ramifications of this sort of thing where you have extremists being able to control the streets essentially and make people feel unsafe and businesses unable to operate. It's hard to say how long that damage will last, because when a city has the reputation of being an extremist mecca like Portland now has, that deters investment. There's just no question about it. It deters investment. It deters people from wanting to move there, and so eventually, you know, on top of all this COVID shutdown stuff and the riots and the lack of the leaders, so-called leaders, and politicians to quell it. Land back, colonialism was legal. All these things, that's a part of the social justice narrative, the hard left social justice narrative that the United States was built on violence and slavery and genocide of Native Americans, and so therefore it's all evil, and the systems must be torn down and rebuilt and replaced with what? It's not clear. It's not clear what they would replace it with, or if they have the skills and abilities to create a wonderful society that we currently have, that, by the way, is the most diverse, arguably the most diverse and open and free society that humanity has ever known. It's not our job to try to justify the past or even judge the past necessarily. History is not something to, as I've mentioned before, is not something to either like or dislike. It's just to understand and to learn from. But we live right now in one of the most diverse, free, least racist societies that humanity has ever known. anywhere in the world. And I'm sorry if you don't believe that, because you've decided to swallow other certain narratives, but that is true by all measures. And if you read history and really understand human sociological and economic evolution over time, then maybe you will start to realize how good we have it, and how good all people have it that live in the United States of America. So anyway, this is astonishing. It is amazing to see such a great city be reduced to fear by a relatively small group of radicals who believe they are fighting the evil giant, and that somehow they have a better solution to society than what has been built here for decades and decades, and hundreds of years of experimenting, improving, failing, learning from. Here we go into Chinatown, Portland. And I've said before, I'm sorry, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work the way some people think it might. You cannot just take a whole bunch of people, shake them up, and throw them on a continent and expect it to turn out like this in the United States, where you value freedom, free speech, freedom of religion, the ability to move up. The ability to move up in the world economically and socially. And yes, I feel like I have to put in this caveat, but if you've listened to some of my other videos, I know, yes, there's problems, there's improvements. We need to have real solutions, not fanatical, activist craziness that's going on now. They're not offering anything. They're like petulant children, damaging things and tearing down things, but not offering any solutions. And apparently in this modern city, they don't have the leadership or the balls to just stop this nonsense, because it's not in good faith. It's not in good faith. And they've turned this city into a place of decline. And this is just the beginning of it. It takes years for things like this to unfold, where you see the true effects, because growth and improvement have been deterred, and so it takes a while, like ripples in a pond. Boy, this is widespread, Sandra. It's not just downtown by the Pioneer Courthouse. This is, when you were going through your immigration, this is where we always came, because the federal immigration building is off this way.
Right, but this area was always a little bit more downtrodden, down by the bridges.
Yeah. The homelessness, the boarded up buildings, the graffiti everywhere, and some of the graffiti is violent graffiti, where they're actually calling for the killing of certain journalists like Andy No, who he's the Asian journalist who's been following Antifa, has infiltrated them, and he knows what they're all about and what their goals are, and he's kind of exposed them, and they're calling for his death. Now think about that. Think about that. In a free nation, in a modern, supposedly progressive city. Sweetheart, that's the federal immigration building. Remember that? Yeah. That's where we got you. That's where we turned you into an American citizen.
Are those just little houses back there?
Yeah, I think so. They're homeless houses.
It's like locked up.
So anyway, in a modern progressive city, supposedly, graffiti is allowed to stay up that's calling for the killing of a journalist. Think about that. That's chilling, and that's insane. What kind of leadership do we have here? None, maybe? There's a lot of good people in this town. People who want what's right, but their leadership is failing them. And maybe it's their fault, because they're voting for these people. So, all right. Well, this is a little taste of Portland, Oregon on our adventure to the northwest, back to our old stomping grounds, and it's been interesting and eye-opening. Don't be an activist. Vote for good leaders. The moral of the story is